she's out of here. As the midterms approach and the party crumbles, you start looking for scapegoats. Gotta throw a couple sacrificial lambs in there, you know? I'm surprised that Kristi Noem was out before Pam Bondi, but Pam Bondi's out. Apparently a lot more contentious of an outing as well. A big argument in the Oval Office. Pam Bondi begged Trump not to fire her during dramatic White House showdown as insider reveals his final straw. God damn.
Another major shakeup at the White House. Attorney General Pam Bondi has been ousted.
Let's go now to CNN senior White House correspondent Kristen Holmes. Kristen, tell us what you're learning. This is brand new.
Yeah, things are very fluid. They're moving very quickly, but I am told that Pam Bondi has been officially fired. She's out of her role. Now, where she goes next, that is a question mark. I was told in the meeting or in the conversation President Trump had with Bondi yesterday, he floated the idea of a judgeship as a potential landing place for Bondi. And in the interim period, while they are figuring out who is going to take over as Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche will step into that role. So he will be serving in the interim. Pam Bondi, though, is out. We had already reported that she was in.
He is more competent than she is, but the reasons that Trump doesn't like Pam Bondi have nothing to do with who Pam Bondi is. It's just that Trump wanted Pam Bondi to dismantle the justice system, and she couldn't. They just didn't have the mandate. Like I said at the beginning of Trump's term, there was a brief window where they might have been able to do this. If Trump had gotten elected and they had immediately done a sweeping arrest of Democrats, I think that they might have been able to get away with some really foundational changes, like a centuries-long new era of America, no longer a democracy. But they failed to do so. They waited too long, and Trump's popularity fell through, and people got more emboldened against him. Trump wanted Bondi to go more aggressively after his political enemies. Remember that Truth Social post from Trump that got quickly deleted that turned out to have been an attempted DM to her, where he was basically like, come on, you need to start prosecuting more people. They're laughing at us out there. Why aren't all my enemies in jail? And all of the attempted prosecutions have failed, you know? Bolton, fucking FBI direct, like every time they do, Letitia James, every time they do this, it fails. Call me, thank you, call me. Oh, Powell. Yeah, literally, like 4 for 4. Every single time they try to do this, it fails. Pam Bondi was fired largely because Donald Trump grew dissatisfied with her inability to deliver on prosecuting his perceived enemies. Her allies find that reasoning frustrating because they say she was hampered by the legal system, not by any unwillingness on her part. Thank God for American institutional resilience, you know? As much as this country is crumbling, there's still something there. It's like we're living at it's the end of the Roman Empire, and we're huddled in a battered fort, and the beautiful marble walls may indeed be crumbling, but they are still there, and they're taking a couple of hits for us. Thank God. Hard to convict people based entirely on vibes. Well, it's just America's justice and political systems are too federalized. It makes it really, really difficult to take over everything, you know? Every time you have an authoritarian takeover, you look at Hungary, you look at Germany, right? Anytime you, historically, you see these like big, quick fascist takeovers, usually you have a very centralized justice system. So basically, like, right after the executive and the legislature are controlled by the fascist party, it's like, it's done. They instantly passed like 50 Hitler laws, enabling act, whatever. Judges are replaced when they need to be. Everyone who like argues is arrested. But that's just not how it works here, you know? Federal government doesn't even have the right to go after people for most, you know, I mean, for the most part, people are prosecuted along state law. So in a lot of cases, like you need to not only replace the entire federal judiciary, which is basically impossible on its own, you have to go several levels deeper. Very tough.
Florida, we have been talking about for the last several hours how in the last week President Trump had been calling allies, asking about firing her, who should replace her. It doesn't seem as though they have someone specific in mind. We know that they have floated the idea of Lee Zeldin, among other people.
Why Lee Zeldin? What?
Is currently leading the EPA, but I am told that is not a done deal. President Trump, interestingly, did issue a very flattering for President Trump's statement about Bondi last night, saying Attorney General Pam Bondi is a wonderful person and she is doing a good job. The reason that I note that is that because when we saw Kristi Noem being fired, there was none of that kind of generosity of spirit when it came to President Trump. Now, just a reminder, Bondi has a very close close relationship with Susie Wiles, the chief of staff. They're both political operatives in Florida. They kind of came up together, so they have a long-lasting relationship. But President
Trump apologism, Trump bias. They're not political operatives. They've been hardline Trump factionalists and loyalists for years and years and years. Their whole careers have been built on adjacency to Trump.
Trump had grown increasingly frustrated about a number of issues. One, didn't believe that some of the cases against his adversaries or political adversaries were being brought fast enough. He didn't believe that she had handled the Epstein files well, among other things. So we do know they had this conversation yesterday in which essentially President Trump told her that she was not long for this world, that he would eventually be replacing her.
Ominous.
What we know now is that she has been officially fired. And again, Todd Blanche will step into that role as the Deputy Attorney General into an acting Attorney General role.
And Kristen, this now marks the second cabinet position that Trump...
As people online are pointing out, he's only firing women. There was Bovino, I guess, but yeah, in terms of the cabinet heads, yeah. And I do think there's a point to that as well. I really don't know if the base could survive Hegseth being fired. I genuinely don't know. Part of that being Hegseth is a hardline loyalist, like very, very much so. And also because he is the loudest voice representing evangelicals. You know, I wonder if the base would like fracture over that.
Has fired and now has sought a replacement for within the last month. What can you tell us about Blanche himself, his relationship to Trump? Obviously, he's going to be in the acting role until a new attorney general is put in place.
Well, look, Blanche and President Trump are incredibly close. He served as his personal attorney before taking this role as the Deputy Attorney General. And there are a number of people who are around President Trump's orbit who have said that Blanche isn't political enough. Well, we saw Blanche taking a new role recently when he stepped out at CPAC and essentially said that everybody who had ever investigated Donald Trump or brought charges against...
No one really likes Hegseth. Evangelicals love Hegseth. They love Hegseth because he's a very loud death cultist. He's got fucking crusader tattoos on him. They love Hegseth, and they're an essential part of the base. They are literally the strongest part of the MAGA base. In all of America, there is no group of people more hardline MAGA than the evangelicals. They are cattle. They will do whatever the Republican Party tells them. If you lose them, if you lose their faith, literally their faith, you are in extremely hot water. They might be worried about that.
Had been fired from the Department of Justice, making the Department of Justice clearly very political. And President Trump has liked what Todd Blanche has done. Blanche has always been kind of viewed as the person in the background making all of the mechanisms work. Now, of course, he'll be front and center, but it doesn't sound as though he's going to take this position long term, that they are going to still find a figurehead, so to speak, as the actual Attorney General. But that he will be filling in the interim time period. And I do want to note, one of the things that's so fascinating about this removal of Kristi Noem and this removal now of Pam Bondi is that we spent the better part of over a year with no upheavals, with no turnover within the cabinet. And that was intentional, something that President Trump, Susie Wiles, did not want in his second term to look like a revolving door, the way it had looked in President Trump's first term. But obviously now we are entering a new phase of President Trump's presidency, with him feeling as though the people who aren't working, and he's going to get rid of them.
It happens when the ship starts sinking. This was to be expected. I don't know. It's still really funny, though. They have no... It seems like they have no plan for the midterms, so I don't know how they think, like, slowing off the, weaker cabinet members is going to help them there. It's crazy to me. They really do seem to have no plan going forward, but I don't know. How sunk is this ship, though? How deep? I mean, Donald Trump hit a record low approval recently. His approval is starting to dip even with Republicans. It's not good. It's pronounced sloughing, is it? S-O-U-G-H? That's sloughing? Yes?
And Kristen,
okay. Dude, English is a fucked up language, man. It's crazy that other people learn this language, Spanish is so easy.
How long was this coming? Because there was a sense, certainly when Pam Bondi appeared before Congress and testified, that she was really trying to appeal to President Trump and that she might have been on thin ice at that point.
So it kind of depends on what you mean in terms of how long has this been coming, because there has been frustration with Bondi off and on since almost the beginning of President Trump's tenure, specifically when it came to the handling of the Epstein files. There was a big swath of people, and obviously we saw the Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, had said that in the interview with Vanity Fair when she said the Department of Justice whiffed on the Epstein files. There was a general feeling that that was the case, and they placed a lot of that blame on Pam Bondi, not on Kash Patel or on Dan Bongino, but on the Attorney General, because she was the one who was responsible for bringing in all of those influencers and giving them those binders, if we remember that from early in the administration. She was also the one who said on Fox News that she has the Epstein files on her desk and she'd be releasing them soon. All things that put everybody into a tight spot and then caused enormous amount of problems down the road.
These people are so hardline brainwashed, I find it hard to believe he'd actually lose their support. Yeah, he's not going to lose the support of like the majority of them, but even losing a couple of percentage points is pretty important, you know? It's really just, it's the Democrats' game to lose, as it was in 2016, 2020, and 2024. You know, Trump has never been a like popular candidate, right? He's never been a popular candidate the way that Obama was popular or Reagan was popular or Clinton was popular. He's never like swept 60% of the vote or whatever. It's the Democrats' game to lose. And boy, do they love losing. They love losing. This is possibly why she was fired. Yeah, people are saying this, but I feel like this was an excuse. You know what I mean? Trump told Pam Bondi shortly before his Iran speech on Wednesday night she'd soon be fired. Trump's reasoning for the sudden dismissal comes in part because the president believes Bondi tipped off Eric Swalwell about the FBI's efforts to release investigative documents related to his relationship with Christine Fang. It's nothing. This is a nothing. I don't think this means anything, you know? I think he was just searching for an excuse, you know, something more immediate. The real reason is that his approval is plummeting and he's looking for people to kick off. She's not winning his cases. Well, I mean, it's not up to her to win those cases. To those cases. That's beyond her power, you know? No one could win these cases. He's been blaming Carolyn Levitt recently too. Damn, he's going after all the broads. Donald Trump wonders to Carolyn Levitt's face if bad publicity is her fault. You're doing a terrible job. Shall we keep her? I think we'll keep her, the president said while speaking to reporters on the 31st of March. Jesus Christ. That's funny as fuck, dude. Carolyn Levitt has done like the best possible job anybody could do in her position. Serious, I do not know if anyone could do a better job than her. It's imploding. Trump's approval rating, 4 percentage points down since just before the U.S. struck Iran, falling from 39% to 35%. A Reuters Ipsos poll similarly put Trump's approval at 36%, down from 40% earlier this month. I know it doesn't seem like much, but a drop to 36% from 40% in 1 month is fucking enormous. That's ridiculous. That's 10% of the entire support base cut off in 1 month. He's hitting new records, man. Donald Trump's approval rating has sunk to Joe Biden's lowest point. That is crazy. Because you have to remember that, like, for Biden, Democrats can disapprove of a Democrat president, and Republicans will always disapprove of a Democrat president. But Democrats, even if they always disapprove of a Republican president, Republicans will not disapprove of their president because it's a cult. So for Trump to hit minus 20 in the approval, just as low as Biden ever hit, that's crazy. What's crazy is it still doesn't feel like Trump's approval is this low, and it's because our media's captured. Yeah, it really does not reflect in the media environment, you know? Like, people were so much more negative about Biden. Like, during the peak of Biden's unpopularity, every single news network was running 24/7 hit pieces on him. Even MSNBC, like, all of them were. And by the way, I don't like Biden at all. I fucking hate him. I'm not saying I have a problem with that. But then you flip it to Trump, and the most you get from so obviously Fox News is still sucking him off. But, like, CNN, ABC, you know, CBS, obviously, you know, all of them, like, the most they're doing is, provoking thought pieces, the future of Trump's war in Iran. If Biden had done what Trump has done now with this war in Iran, the media would be calling for his head. Like, there would be New York Times op-eds posting, like, Nicholas Decker tier, when will we kill them? When must we kill them? Style posts. You know, people would be losing their fucking minds. But the media is completely captured, so we're not seeing that shit. Approval on the economy was 31%. It's like apocalyptically low. 31% to 69. That's insane. Minus 38 on the economy. Unbelievable. Keep in mind he was polling positively on the economy when he got in. Why does the media have such a double standard with Trump and Biden? Because the media is run by a small collection of oligarchs and elevated corporatists who think that the world is ending and they're trying to get their last grab in, and they've thrown their lot in with Trump. That's why all of these companies gave money to Trump's inauguration fund. That's why all of them have close relationships with the president. A lot of them are just open MAGA fascists, you know. They are capital, and capital has aligned with the most obviously pro-capital party, even to their own detriment, because the Democrats are also a pro-capital party. Like, the Democrats could have kept this shit going for at least another decade, but Trump has brought it down crashing. But that's how it is, you know. Powerful, greedy people burn out the system they relied on. It happened. That was the Great Depression, by the way. The Great Depression was also due to lack of regulatory standards, impropriety on the part of investors and the investor class, and it all came crumbling down. But they don't care, man. The economy could collapse. It's not like the wealthy are going to suffer. If anything, they get to do what Epstein wanted, buy up all of the depreciated assets. Do you think Trump might destroy the idea that conservatives are better for the economy? No, because the idea that conservatives are better for the economy is a myth pushed by the capital class because they want Republicans to win. And they're going to keep doing that no matter what. Republicans have always been worse for the economy for 50 years. You go back 50 years, every single time Republicans cause a recession and job market collapse, Democrats bring it back up every single time. Seriously, every time. That's not an exception, or there's not an exception to that. Republicans have always been worse than the economy, but that perception that they're better on the economy is a myth deliberately pushed by the people who benefit from the crises they create. You know, oil companies are making a killing right now. You might suffer from inflation because the price of oil is going up, but I promise you that Exxon and Shell, they're doing just fine. It means that the oil that they're still pumping out of American refineries, which are unmolested from the Iran war, now they get to sell that oil at triple the price they were before. I promise you they're doing fine. The wealthiest and most evil, most pedophilic people on earth are doing peachy keen. A market crash is a market crash for you, not for them. That was also true in COVID. Yes. They are raping 3 times as many children. That is true. Child rapes per capita from the bourgeoisie are up 200% since the beginning of the Iran war. So there's no hope for a better future. Will you shut the fuck up? Shut up. Shut up. Every time with the damn rhetorical, so there's no hope. Fuck you. Go outside. When was the last time you felt the sun on your skin?
But when it comes to actually replacing her, what we're told is that in January, this started becoming a real conversation, that the names started floating around as to who would potentially replace her. Now, that had died down a little bit.
Shut up.
Kaylee, I just got off the phone with President Trump. We have a big scoop. Pam Bondi will soon leave her job as the Attorney General. She is going to get a different job within the administration. It doesn't sound like there is any bad blood between her and President Trump.
What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, there is. It's widely reported they had a goddamn shouting match. Well, it is
but
Fox.
It does seem like they want her to go and do something else. And in an interim role, she will be replaced by Todd Blanche, who is currently her deputy at the Justice Department. So it doesn't sound like Blanche is being elevated long term to the Attorney General. There might be somebody else that the president wants to go in there. But President Trump soon will announce to the entire...
Very telling that the Fox News breaking coverage, the report on this, is pretending there's no bad blood, by the way. That comes across as really desperate. If it's widely reported on that this was not a happy parting, and Fox is like, no, everything's fine, you know, it kind of tells you where their priorities are.
Entire world that it is the end of Pam Bondi's time as the Attorney General. He still thinks that she is a great person and that she did a good job. And he still wants her in the fold because she will still be an important part of the administration, he tells me.
Why the fuck would you fire a cabinet secretary if you like them, think they're doing a good job, and there's no bad blood between you? What the fuck are you talking about? What? What a ridiculous... You really believe... I mean, I was about to say you really think people will believe this, but it's Fox News, and I don't think the people who watch this are human. So yeah, maybe they will. Yeah, man, they just did that for fun. Sometimes attorney generals just do that. They just, like, you know, they just get fired. No one even fired her. It just happened on its own.
An NBC News special report. Here's Nellie Jackson.
Good day. We are coming on the air with breaking news. President Trump has apparently fired his Attorney General, Pam Bondi, according to a senior administration official and a source familiar with the matter. This comes after NBC News learned that the president has grown frustrated with his Attorney General in recent days, according to multiple sources. I want to get right to our team covering all of it. Our Chief Justice and National Affairs correspondent Kelly O'Donnell is joining us. We've also got our White House correspondent Monica Alba as well. Kelly, let me start with you. This is not altogether surprising, considering the reporting from NBC that the president was frustrated with Bondi's performance leading the Department of Justice.
And we've often seen the president let some of his intentions...
Love that the CNN article about this says Trump was frustrated that she had not investigated or prosecuted enough of his political opponents and nobody bats an eye. Yeah, we're kind of in like the post-scrutiny times a little bit. Reminds me of Berlusconi, I guess. It feels like the Epstein files were just another hit on him. You know, nothing has any finality. Everything that should end the presidency doesn't. It's going to be like this forever. I'm looking forward to the next Democrat presidency and being put in the unfortunate position of having to defend them because the first big scandal from them in office is something that they didn't even do wrong. You know, it's going to be like a mild gaffe, or it's going to be an equivalent to like Biden failing to pardon more student loans because the Supreme Court turned him down, like just some, you know, attempt that didn't pan out or whatever. And everyone, the entire media is going to dogpile him in a way with vindictiveness and fury that they had not spared for the entirety of Trump's term, you know, that they had spared, actually. Tan suit shit, yeah. I wonder if anyone's going to even want this post apart from Blanche. Who the fuck would want this job if you know that Trump's just going to get mad at you for not doing the stuff that you literally can't do? We can't keep doing Republicans versus Democrats? Yeah, it's just like, it's not that meaningful of a distinction. I am having a difficult time maintaining this distinction as long as the Iran war continues and the Democrats aren't even opposed to it. As long as Democrat leadership is unwilling to take a strong stand on this, what the fuck is the difference? Seriously. Democrats are just a weaker version of Republicans. Laura Loomer saying her typical weird shit during the Bondi firing? What the fuck? That's not that weird. Are there any lawyers left at the DOJ? I don't know. I don't know. I would hate to work there right now. They're down 7,000 lawyers. That's fucking crazy. Rats are fleeing the sinking ship. Or I guess in this case, rats are being kicked out of the sinking ship.